Welcome back to a new mic'd up video. I am doing only a few exercises today. So I'm gonna start with muscle snatches, and just like I've mentioned for on other days and other videos, I use it mostly as a warm-up. I think there is some like technical things that are good for it for working on the snatch, and it is, I think, the fastest movement with a barbell in weightlifting. So if you're measuring bar speed, the snatch muscle snatch is the fastest, or it might be one of the fastest, at least for the snatch specifically it is. I'm sure there's a variation of the clean that might be a little bit faster, like a power clean, but you have to pull it the fastest, and it also means the weight is the least in any snatch variation for the most part. Could be wrong about that, but I think that was whoever is coaching Coach Mary, I forget his name, Will something. He said that in his little speed and velocity book that I quite enjoyed. Got a lot of nice information from it, so I'd highly recommend getting it. I think you can get it on Amazon and stuff, but certainly a good book. But I'm going to start with some muscle snatches, and then I was programmed bottom-up squats like I had with pin squats or whatever, like I heard earlier this week with the back squat, but with the front squat, because I don't want to get all the wood blocks and try to finagle that to get it set up for those, and then have to immediately take it back for the clean pulls. That is my third exercise that I'm going to do today. I'm just going to do regular, actually back squats, because when I went to the select other back, it's imagine if I could actually talk, that'd be useful. But it started with the pin squats, or bottom up squats as they call it, and then back squats and front squats was the third choice on there. So I view that as like the tertiary option, or as like the least close to what they want you to work on, which you would think it would be front squats would be second, but they have it as back squats. Plus, I did front squats the other day, and I did back squats the other day. So doing some regular back squats will probably feel pretty good today. And I don't mind going a little bit crazy with them, so we'll see how they feel. But let me pop open the app and actually just switch it on there. So I believe it's going to start me at 190 kilos for 6 doubles. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do doubles or, feel really good with that weight. I hope that I'm able to move 190 for a double pretty well. I mean, 6 doubles is going to be quite a lot, but I don't mind going a bit crazy on the back squats today, because tomorrow is snatch balances like I had last week. I'm not going to be doing the muscle snatches with the snatch balances like before, because they're at 94 kilos, and I just wouldn't be able to muscle snatch 94 kilos 5 times. And I'd rather focus on the snatch balance with that. 90 was certainly pushing it, and that certainly was fun, but not sustainable progress, obviously, if I'm going to progress the snatch balance to heavier and heavier weights, or if it's going to have that in the program. And then has deficit power clean, which I'm not going to do tomorrow. I most likely will do this, actually the same movement I did before, where I pause above the knee and then do the power clean there. That was a variation they had the other day as a recommended one. It's kind of a flaw in the app, I suppose. I can actually look on here. It has deficit, so it goes deficit power clean plus pause jerk 2 plus 2, clean and jerk 1 plus 1, deficit power clean, and then power clean pause above the knee. But notice how I didn't say anything about the jerk for the last 2 movements. It's because it just doesn't include it. So you can swap to those movements, but it takes out the jerk, which would be useful if you had some sort of issue with your wrist or whatever, and you can't do jerks on that particular day. But oftentimes when I'm swapping, it's like I don't want to do a deficit power clean. I'd rather do the pause or whatever. Jerks are fine. I'll do those. So I kind of have to manually go in. You can still swap it in there. But it is good to keep in mind what weight was originally programmed, because sometimes the app goes wild. Like it says 101 for the clean and jerk work stuff tomorrow. But when I've swapped before, it's like, do it at 135. I'm like, all right, no. I physically cannot. And it's also, that's 30 kilos difference. So I know that 34, going from 101 to 135. So I know it's not correct in the app as far as what the stimulus is, what they want for that particular day. When they're saying 70 to 80%, then you swap and it's like, do 100% of whatever particular movement. So that will happen sometimes, but as long as you have just a little bit of working memory, or at least a little bit of functioning frontal and backal lobe, or backal lobe, at least if you have a little bit of functioning brain, which I do not currently at this point, apparently, because I cannot speak. But if you're able to kind of logically think about what weight should be there, you can kind of make those swaps in a more logical way if the app does bug out like that. But that's not too difficult to do. Let's start doing some muscle snatches. So I haven't really warmed up much. I've just been out here and I've moved a plate to look at the wet corner that I have here. I have to get some more cement slapped into this corner because I do have a hole weathering in. And once it's warm outside, I'm going to look at this wall out there and clear it out to see if there's some sort of flaw with the foundation on the outside. I'm sure that there is, but if I get enough cement in here, then it should protect a lot of the moisture that's getting in, because it's mostly in this corner, but it does kind of soak up here and then come back out here a little bit. But I'm like 99.9% sure I have the spot. I just have to put more cement in. But hopefully it stops raining. It did today, so we lucked out with that. Oh, yeah. Did quite a lot of movement today. I slept a lot last night, so theoretically I should be pretty recovered for today's session, especially because yesterday wasn't too crazy difficult, but still sore. So like I mentioned, I got a lot of sleep last night, but I also got little bonus movement in by racing some first graders at the end of the school day. Not full out sprints, but not a jog, so something in between. I'm a little too scared to do a full out sprint for two reasons. One, of potentially hurting myself, or if you're running with first graders, you know, bowling one of them over. So I'm obviously much larger than the average first grader, but you got to be a little extra cautious with that. Plus, like, I don't really care if they win. I'm not that crazy competitive, but I certainly don't want to trip over one of them, hurt them or hurt myself. That'd be a dumb way to get hurt. Bar feels very cold. It's like 41 degrees outside. I think it feels a little bit warmer than that to me. The bar does not, but the actual temperature outside doesn't feel too bad. I think because it's not that windy. So even though it is probably that cold, the wind isn't really there to make it feel that bad. Oh. Whoa! We're going to wait to put the, I'm actually going to put knee sleeves on today. Or at least attempt to. And put them over my sweatpants, theoretically. So we'll see how that works. But I do want to give the potential for me to go hard on squats if I'm feeling it. I also got my other, I guess you'll see it once I start squatting, Weightlifting House belt. There's my other belts in my trunk. I like my, the other belt I have, the brown belt, that you'll see in most videos, is from Rogue. And I really like it. I just didn't get the right size. It's a little bit too small, or is it too large? I had to cut off a little bit of the end to make it fit better, so I think it was too small. Or maybe it was too big. I don't know. I had to cut off a little piece of the end. I actually have the piece that I cut off still. So at the end of it, I cut off a little bit to make it fit better, because I had too much of a loop there. So what does that mean? I think I needed to get a larger size. I don't know. But I really like the material of the belt, and it's the exact kind. I would highly recommend, if you needed a belt, to just go through Rogue. The Weightlifting House one is fine. It's just really thin, and I had to cut the padding out of the back because I'm not a 45-year-old lifter that needs a random pad and a belt. I obviously want it to be strong all the way around, but this belt here, compared to like the Rogue one is thicker, and I could do a side-by-side comparison. Yeah, so it's definitely, the Rogue one's definitely thicker. Obviously, you probably can't see it in the video too much. And the back of it is this, like, it's the this thickness that the Rogue one has goes all the way around. What I do like about the Weightlifting House belt is I did get the correct size, so it does fit better in general. But I also cut out the pad back here because why would I want a pad? That's not going to allow me to brace as well. But I do kind of like the double prongs and just the whole, honestly, the design in general. I like that too. I like that it's blue and whatnot, and it has a double prong. So like, I like the design and whatnot. I just wish it was thicker like the Rogue one. But what are you going to do? It will still be fine, and I've lifted heavy on it, so I'm not worried about the construction of it necessarily. But the Rogue one is definitely, if I'm going to go heavy and I want it to be as heavy as possible, I'm definitely getting the Rogue. Kind of a similar thing with like the knee sleeves. Like, push comes to shove, I'm going to use those if it's, you know, I got to lift heavy on a particular day. But on other days where it's not, like, I don't want to say life or death because that's too dramatic, but say like a competition setting, then I'll use the knee wraps for whatever, belt or no belt. It doesn't particularly matter on particular days, but trying to lift maximal weight I want the knee sleeves on. I want the Rogue belt. I want to leave nothing to chance to blame the equipment. It's warming up really quick out here, so maybe it actually is warmer. I'll check the temperature after I do this muscle snatch. Because honestly, the bar is warmed up a lot, and I've only worked with it for that last set that you saw. So maybe it's actually warmed, because the last time I looked, it was, I think, 41 degrees. But that was probably at like 1 o'clock. Maybe it's actually, I don't know how, but I think it warmed up a little bit. Oh, it's always the first one that feels the most sore. Whoa. We'll do another one. Feeling it drift out from my left side a little bit. So I suppose working on your pull is something that's nice. Oh, it felt better. Alright, so let's look at the weather. I think I'm going to take pretty big jumps with the muscle snatches as well, because it is, like, I don't even have snatches today, so it's really not the focus of the day. So I'll just jump right to 60, goes 60, 70, 80. It's actually the real, so it's 39 degrees out, but the real feel is 41, which is interesting. So I don't really know why it feels warmer than it is, but I guess that kind of fits my perception. But now if I click on this, it says the real feel is 35. So honestly, I think it feels like the mid 40s. When you're kind of outside, I kind of do have a pretty good gauge of like how the temperatures feel. Although, you know, I'm thinking it's in the mid 40s and it's 10 degrees colder than what I feel. But being outside for 30 minutes in the morning, in the afternoon, for car rider duty, I certainly at least get to experience whatever the temperature happens to be outside, or whatever weather's going on at those times. So I at least get a good gauge of if it feels really miserable or not. And honestly, I think it is just the wind, because honestly today it really didn't feel bad outside. Just normal cold. It could also be the fact that it was super cold the other week everywhere, but here as well. And obviously it felt cold outside. Thankfully, we had a couple snow days, or cold days, that week. Otherwise, I'd been outside freezing my tail off, which is not fun. That scared me so much. Honestly, thought I was dying there. That was... Now we're talking about life or death. That was a noise behind me when you're alone in the shed. That's enough to make, like, my heart's pounding a little bit, and it's just that plate that slid over. Oh, Lord. The animal part of my brain thought somehow something got inside the shed, like inside the door. But then once I turned around and realized, like, the door is obviously closed and it's just the plate. But that was much scarier than it had any right to be. All right. It was just 60. I don't know what I want to muscle snatch today. We'll just do 60, 70, 80, and then maybe 90. Since tomorrow, I don't mind doing heavier muscle snatches on days where, like, tomorrow I don't have any heavy work, so it's not like I'm going to be at a detriment. Obviously, if I'm going to do a lot of snatch work, I'm not going to do a heavy muscle snatch before. That does actually take away from that particular session, but for back squats and pulls, not particularly. All right. So you got to make sure the left arm is not drifting out, that we just keep it all symmetrical. Not too bad. Like, I'm just feeling a normal sore. What's nice too is I feel like doing the pulls and the deadlifts, like, I feel nothing in my IT band right now. And I haven't been doing too much stuff in particular for it. I think it's just the pulling has helped, which is good. Most of the soreness right now is kind of in my quad tendons, so right above my knees. And that's the most common spot. I think, for most weightlifters. Thankfully, my actual knees don't hurt. It's literally just that area right above. If I ever do get like actual knee pain, it is an absolute pain to deal with, literally and figuratively. Those for me, usually if I have anything, it's like my right knee, and it's literally like as I'm trying to start the lift, I'll feel it like under my kneecap, but thankfully that's pretty rare. And honestly, I think that's probably similar to what I had in college. It was just frayed cartilage and I got my knee scoped. It probably is something similar to that, but it isn't anything that's progressively worse, consistent, or even really frequent. So thankfully that's clear for the most part. I haven't had any major knee issues really ever, because I wouldn't really consider a knee scope a major knee issue, because the recovery was literally nothing. You just go back to what you're doing basically. But when I had that, that was certainly annoying. All right. So this is 80. Forgot to do 70. We're not going back now. This is a pretty common jump for muscle snatches for me anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. 80 is a pretty, sometimes will feel hard, but it's routine for the most part. All right. All right, we'll do one more at 90. Based on the fact that I took that bigger jump, it kind of makes sense that if it didn't really even feel that much harder, but I don't know, it's hard to directly describe. It felt harder than 60 because it was heavier, but not as heavy as it could have been because of the larger jump. So most of these days I've been muscle snatching. I've gone 60, 70, 80. Even if I do 90, I'm usually doing 70 as well, which for most people doing muscle snatches probably would be the recommendation to do for the most part. But when it doesn't really matter for a particular day, always go a bit heavier or just take bigger jumps. It's good to kind of practice both. Smaller jumps are nice, allows you to get more warm, more practice of the movement, of course, but bigger jumps saves energy and time, which is why you wouldn't want to necessarily do, 5 or 3 kilo jumps all the way up unless it's a PR. You'd be lifting for 4 hours on an exercise. It's good to practice being able to take bigger jumps, because big jumps save time. I feel like the biggest jump I could take on I feel like I can just go right to 80 and muscle snatch it and probably do it like 99% of the time, but it probably wouldn't feel that good, especially the first pull. Those are always the craziest lifts to me, people who just like do a lift cold. That was an airplane. Now I'm all on edge with all the noises I'm hearing. And I've been trying to challenge myself with the muscle snatches each day. It's like, if I'm going to do them, I'm not going to put on, other than wrist straps are the only thing that I've been alternating using, just to help with my hands to make sure to kind of maintain. Thankfully, there's no issues with them right now, but I don't want to do extra pulling or extra snatch volume essentially and just wear out my hands with a muscle snatch. But since I used them at least yesterday, I might have used them the last 2 days, I like to do them without anything on, even though it's cold. Today would actually be a better day to use them because when it's cold out, your hands tend to get beat up a bit more because they're a bit drier in general. But we're going to hit this 90. I actually missed this the first time I did it yesterday, because I just got a little bit out in front and I just kind of assumed that it would blow up, I think. Second one, I just tried harder. So we'll try harder on this one. All right. Keep it close. Trust the speed. Oh, Nelly. Oh. Oh. So that was the same thing that happened yesterday. I got stuck there, and I was fighting for it. That one was very slightly different, to where obviously I was able to finish it, but when I got stuck yesterday, it just wasn't moving. And that's where you can make a very valid argument that, this isn't working on the snatch anymore. It's more of just an ego lift. But I think there is a utility of the aggression of trying to pull aggressively and even pressing out at the top of the lift. Is it good for technique? I doubt it. I doubt that's going to help me snatch better. But just the idea of I have to pull it close, pull it aggressive, and try to turn over aggressive, I think it's good. I think it's fun. And that's the more important thing, is that it's fun. But we got 90. I'm going to give that 1 white and 2 reds, because that almost took my soul. I was worried I was going to miss it. And all you guys were going to laugh at me and make fun of me and say mean things in the comments about my muscle snatch. But thankfully, I succeeded. Now, if I had 91 kilos on the bar, that was just going to slap me right in the face. But 90's not routine, but 90 can be done most days of the week. All right, I'm going to get this weight off, get my knee sleeves on, and really just start back squatting. Honestly, I feel pretty decent. It's all you can hope for. Get my hands on this heater a little bit. When it's really cold, you can kind of just squat and do deadlifts pretty normally. I remember back in COVID, back in the old days, when it was first starting and all the gyms were closed and I had to lift out here. And I say had to lift out here. It was certainly a privilege, but it was cold. But I was not used to the cold and training in it, so it felt much worse. Like, there was days that were this cold, but the issue I was having, so like a day like this, it's not that big of a deal to be out here no matter what the temperature is in training, because you acclimate to it. But there's also like I don't even have to do muscle snatches. Like, I could literally squat and pull, and in the cold it doesn't matter for that. Like, you can just layer up and be fine. What I was struggling with during that, because it was still cold, even though it was the spring, there were still days when it was 40s, is I would have a full session to do, and your hands are just freezing the whole time and getting tore up because it's cold. So then that's where I struggle more. I remember squatting actually quite well on that time. Particularly, I remember like a front squat. I think I hit like a front squat double PR back in that time. But I remember just like squats always felt good. You're just bundled up and like, I don't know. It's just much easier to be all layered up and squat and then try to move fast. Really, when it's cold, it's hard to like really exert yourself to move fast. So we got the hook grip sleeves. The only reason I got new ones is to get a smaller size and to get the red, because red is the best color, at least in my opinion. And really, it's my opinion, it's fact. We'll see if we can get these bad boys on. The tricky part is I got layers on now, so I got to try to put them over my sweatpants, because I don't want to take my sweatpants off and try to pull them up, because at this point they're not going to go up my giant calves or my hairy legs that are probably a little bit sweaty at this point. So the real key is you got to get your sweatpants down, or whatever pants you have on, tights or anything, and be able to get it through your sweatpants or through your sleeve, which I've never actually put these over these sweatpants before. So this might be a little bit of a challenge. But I suppose this is a bonus part of the Mic'd Up video, how to put knee sleeves over sweatpants. So notice I'm getting the sleeve back out, or my sweatpants. I'm saying it all wrong. But I'm getting the sweatpants underneath, and then I get it under my heel. So then I can pull the sleeve up. You want to keep your heel on the sweatpants or whatever pants you're wearing, of course, because then you'll be able to pull the pants up. Now, what I don't know is how difficult this is going to be to get up over them. All right, that was actually really easy. And my right leg is a little bit bigger than my left leg, or at least it's more difficult to get a sleeve over my calf, so at least my calf is bigger on my right leg. And it's my dominant leg, so it makes sense. Quads are never the issue. It's my giant calves. So we got one sleeve on. That was actually really easy. I'll have to remember this because I might actually start wearing these at the gym if I get them over these sweatpants more. Because most times I have what should we call it? Hook grip. Oh, hook grip. They're 3/4, but that means that I have open leg exposed, which I'm not worried about the cold, but when they're sweaty and my calves are still large, which they always are, then it's quite difficult to get a sleeve over them. Trying to think of what jumps I want to do on the back squat to get up to 190. Definitely more conservative, but of course singles, because I only have to do doubles today anyway in any variation that I do, so I'm not too particularly worried about doing a bunch of reps on the way up. But I'm going to start at 70. I'm going to see 120 and see how that feels, and then we'll kind of go. I kind of think like the easy jumps, because I want to balance it between like not necessarily, I mean, I guess it's basically still doing the same thing, but if it goes 70, 120, 160, and then to 190 instead of going right to 170. So I do want to get back to doing those normal jumps because it is convenient for squat training, back squat training particularly, to save energy and time on the warm-up sets. But I also want to make sure it's all feeling good. I have done 200. I actually did 220 like after I spazzed on my back and tried to double it. But I think one of the reasons that my back recovered slower than I would have liked is actually, I mean, I still trained, so that's one factor. But another one is because I had all those snow days, I was just stretching all day, which isn't necessarily bad, but I was overstretching and doing too much. And so then I was wearing it out more, so that's why I kept getting like retweaked. It wasn't like full-blown injured because it was recovering a little bit, but it just wasn't able to just settle down, which, I do all the time. I don't let things settle down and just go at it. But I think we're chilling as far as the back goes. I've been training normally this week. I haven't had any sort of feeling in that area that's been negative. But we do have to be cautious. And if I get the heebie-jeebies about doing doubles, then we'll do some singles. And if I feel anything weird, then we'll cut down the session a bit. I mean, 6 heavy doubles is a lot and pretty high intensity. Even if I did them all at 190, it's pretty high intensity squats. So I need to make sure I'm not going to break myself. And that's another reason that I wanted to opt to doing back squats, is because back squats are just a little bit easier. I already had a successful day doing front squats, and so I don't want to just re-aggravate it because I'm just doing so much front squats and stuff with it. But we'll hit the bar, see if I got the knee sleeves on right. Oh. It'd be like the Koreans and do snatch put or behind the neck press with after the back squats. If I was that crazy, take a little bit more time at the bar because I haven't really sat down in a squat yet. I actually feel really good down here. I don't feel bad at all. Doesn't mean I'll squat well, but at least I don't have to spend a lot of time feeling like I'm warmed up. Oh. Left trap / area next to my neck is a little bit tight, but been working on it. That part has been helped a lot with massage. It's a tricky spot to massage to get good leverage on it, but when you do, it does feel pretty nice. That and just general stretching with it, but as I'm realizing that I overstretched my back to get it to feel better. Let's see if I can twist a little bit without hitting the rack. We'll just hit the rack or the wall, a little bit of both. But I realized that anytime I get an injury and I'm really hammering whatever, like building and stretching stuff, that it probably makes it not recover as fast, and I should do those same stretches, but just not as aggressively. The frequency of them, or even the duration of each stretch, isn't really the problem. It's the intensity that I go to it and really just try to fix it right then and there, which isn't ideal. Back felt a little suspicious on the bar. I think I just let myself get a little bit loose, but we'll stretch this out a little bit. I think I feel all right. We'll go up to 70. We'll just keep vibing. Check, make sure camera's still vibing. Camera's vibing. I'm vibing. You're vibing. We're all vibes. The pulls I have after these are just at, I mean, it says 178, but I'm just going to do them at 180. And it's like 3 sets of 3 or something. Nothing too difficult with those. Pulling is always nice to have because it's easy. Physically and mentally. Squats, they're my arch nemesis. But honestly, it feels good to have done squats, but doesn't feel good to do squats. Back feels a little bit sore, so make sure everything's moving and grooving. We'll throw the belt on for this. One of the reasons I like to throw the belt on with a weight that's not difficult, like 120, is just to feel it. Make sure the belt feels comfortable. And usually, especially with the Rogue one, I don't put it as tight on like the 120. I just like to actually just feel that it's there while I'm doing a squat. So this one, you know, it's still on there. It still probably helps a little bit, but it's not like cranked to that extra level. It's like I can still fit my hand in here. It's a little bit tight, but it's not like squeezing me too bad. So it's not really doing too much, but I feel it's there, which gets me prepared for the heavier weights. So assuming that this feels the same as 70, I might just go to 150, 170, and then 190 and just take smaller jumps. We'll see how this one feels. If it feels like really good, then we might just go right to 160. We'll see. I'll get this pulled up a little bit too. There we go. Legs feel good. Back feels a little suspicious, so we don't want to hurt ourselves. All right, chilling. Nothing felt off about that, which is good. I was worried that I might feel something walking it out with that little twisting motion I mentioned last week. That last little step out, that slight twist, is where I was feeling it on front squats last week, but nothing on those. So to the blue. Hopefully the blue feels all right. Then we'll just go right to 190 and see how that feels. I honestly might treat them the back squats like I did front squats earlier this week, where I was like, I'm committed to doing singles at the weight, but, you know, cautiously thinking if like something felt good, I would do a double, but not trying to push for it. So I think the front squats this week were like 155 for triples, which is just beyond what I can do right now. And reps in the front squat are just really difficult for me to do in general. Plus, when you're nervous about them, like I just didn't want to commit to even doing a double on any of the sets because it felt too hard. But it's still progress in a sense, because nothing felt off with them, and they all felt, you know, decent. Just got to keep progressing up, keep getting the legs a little bit stronger. All right. So this one, we'll crank a little bit tight, make sure we feel Gucci. All right. Pull these up a little bit. Get rocking and rolling. Just a single here. Finish warming up the legs. Make sure everything's grooving. I feel like I can get the belt a notch tighter, but it's not life or death with this weight. All right. Just felt like a normal squat. Not too great, not too bad, but nothing out of the ordinary. So we'll do the first set at 90. Now what I don't know, this feels difficult, then I'm just going to do singles, and I'm fine with that. Because I don't think my leg's strength is fully back, but man, if I was doing 190 for 6 doubles, no matter what the context is, like that's really good. But even if I just do 6 singles at 190, then I know I'm chilling. All right. We'll also throw some performance enhancing music on, because I haven't had any music yet, which is good. No hype for any of the weights, which theoretically I think is the ideal. You know, you go nothing, and then for your top sets you have music, but oftentimes I just jam the music the whole time, because you got to do what you got to do. But we'll get the tune on and get rocking and rolling. Like I said, anything feels off, we stop. But 6 doubles, that sounds like some good work. Sounds like some good work if I can get it done. Make sure nothing feels off. Make sure I'm not using my back too much, doing anything too wonky. Get some Gatorade creatine mix. I did take caffeine today, normal amount, 200. I didn't want to take, I mean, there's no reason to take any more on a weekday and for a normal session like this. All right. We'll keep the brake cord going just because I never get copyrights with it. And I like it. Good max out music. All right. You can tell I'm a little nervous because I'm quieter than normal. Excuse me. It's also a very heavy set. All right. Let's hope for a double. So nothing felt bad. I actually feel my IT band a little bit, which is good, better than my back, but seeing stars a little bit, which is interesting, but definitely felt like that's a good weight, at least for one more set. Whew. I was more nervous than anything for that one. Breaking myself. But honestly, I think the speed was probably pretty good. Nothing felt bad technique-wise. Just feeling IT band a little bit, but as I start chilling or start doing the sets, I think that will get a little bit better. It's really not too bad, which is good. It's not like that shooting pain. It's just on the map. I feel a little bit, which, you know, it's going to happen. Rather it be my IT band, which is a known thing. I know how that feels than my back being like an inconsistent thing. But my back held up real good on that one. But as the fatigue starts to set in on these later sets, if I start to feel something, it's not the end of the world. I mean, even if like that was the single set that I did today, that's already good progress. So everything else is icing. And that's, you know, that's me maybe trying to cope a bit, trying to prepare myself mentally if something feels off. But it is true. It's like last week, a double was like 165 and it felt off with my back. So, I mean, this is a huge jump from that, of course, but it's not anything near, you know, my top end, my true double strength. But of course, it's better than last week, which is all you can really hope for. All right. We'll get ready for the next set. If this one feels really good, we might increase the weight. If it feels really bad, then we're done. And if it feels about the same, we'll keep it at the same. So who knows what's going to happen. My guess is it feels better, and I can go up to 200. That's my foreshadowing. But I'll be all right with anything other than an injury. So it's just maintain our positions and be healthy. Go back a little bit. Go back a little bit more. Ain't nothing left to do but to do it. Gotta be confident. So as I foreshadowed, that one felt better. So we're gonna put 4 reps in reserve. Now the reps in reserve for me are certainly not truly, like I don't ever know when I'm doing a triple that I could truly do 4 more reps or 5 or 3 or 1. I treat reps in reserve with the app as a scale of RPE, with 5 being I cooked it. 4 being it's getting warm, and 3 being it's about ready to cook me. And anything below that's like I'm fighting for my life. I mean, if I fail, like obviously that, but also like if I put like 0 reps in reserve, that means it was a life or death fighting the bar. All right. So we got 80, 90, 95, 200. I mean, a double at 200. I mean, I'm cooking with house money at this point. So anything more I get than the first double is already progress in a massive way. Second rep felt a little bit more difficult, but I feel like it's still kind of moving. Biggest thing right now is just to be confident, because nothing is going wrong, nothing feels off than normal aches and pains. So there's no reason not to follow what my gut says, which is to do 200 for a double. I haven't written down anything. Written down. Imagine me being a teacher, not knowing how to speak. But I haven't written down anything yet. I'll have to get it down once I leave. I suppose that's one thing when I do these make-up videos. I usually don't write down stuff during the session, just to save that little bit of time. Instead of, writing down everything, just wait till after. Because, I mean, it's already in the app anyway. I like to physically write it down anyway, because then I can write notes about different technical things that worked on a different day, or the accessory work that I might do on a particular day, because it's just too tedious to put into the app and then to find what you did the previous time. So, and I like to physically write down stuff. I think it's just mentally good to do. Even if you are using some sort of app or an Excel sheet or whatever for your programming, I'd recommend writing down your workouts anyway. So I think there is a cognitive benefit to physically writing down stuff in general. And I think that's something that's really underutilized by most people nowadays, because everything is so technologically based, and honestly it's just faster and easier to type stuff. But there is a benefit to sitting down and writing physically on a piece of paper in a notebook. If you're old like me, then that's how you grew up. Thankfully I can type fast, but I don't know, I don't want to say I prefer writing. I prefer writing for some things, but for obviously an email, I'd much rather take the convenience of typing out something. Obviously sending it's a lot easier, but just typing out a quick email to send to someone or a text is certainly, good. But if you're writing down, I want to say important stuff. Sometimes you are texting, email important stuff, but sometimes stuff that's you're writing for your workouts is important to you. It's not critical of the form that it's in, as long as you can look back at it. Obviously having it in Excel sheets or Google Sheets or in an app or whatever allows you to look back at stuff a lot more quickly and to calculate stuff a lot easier. But it's also nice just to be able to physically look back and say, I filled up a notebook of workouts because I worked out however many days. And then you can kind of just see what you've done. I'm not very good about looking back long-term at workouts. I don't think it's as totally useful to look back 2 years. I'd rather look at the videos that I took 2 years ago and see how I looked than to see what I wrote down in the workouts. Sometimes I'll get glances of stuff I wrote down years ago, but I like to look at the old videos if I ever, have that inkling of what I used to look like or how I used to lift, and kind of compare that to how I move and look now, which is usually motivating. But writing down stuff, I think it does help, and especially in the short term, because you can just look in the previous week to see what you did quickly, a little bit quicker. I guess the app's pretty good for that, but I like what I like. All right, time for a double. Just confidence. That's all I need for this, and I got it just fine. Whew. A lot of blood pressure increasing when you do those. Weights are feeling good. I feel like my head's gonna explode. Whoop. I threw my mic out of the way. Let me put it on here now that I'm done with muscle snatches. Getting a little hot, which is good. Whew. I'm kind of geeked with that. So it wants me to do 3 more sets. Still was cooking on those. So we're gonna take another big jump and see how good we really feel and go up to 210. So that means I gotta put the regular clips on. Now I'm under no delusion that this double may not happen, but if I can do it for 1, then we're gonna feel really good. Do need to locate some normal clips though. Obviously can't put the collars on with this much weight on there. At least wouldn't be to my advantage. There they are. They're hiding up here. I got a red and a black one. It's where my OCD doesn't bother me too much because they're the same kind of clip, but if I had the green and the yellow plate switched, I couldn't do it. That'd drive me bonkers. Like I could, but I don't know. What was it? Olivia Reeves, when she did a whatever clean and jerk at the Worlds or whatever competition she was at, and she had it loaded different on one side. I couldn't do that. I think for the difference that she had, it wasn't that significant, but like you could honestly make a bar feel wrong if you loaded it really crazy on one side. If I, reversed all these weights and all the reds were on the outside, if I was actually strong and say clean and jerking 210 kilos, like that whip might actually be a bit different if you loaded really light weights and heavier weights on the outside. But for, squats or for most lifts, any of you or I are ever going to do aren't going to make that much of a difference. But once you get to a certain level and a certain weight, if you really kind of went crazy with that, you could make it feel really wrong. But thankfully I'm not that strong, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just my my organizational side of myself has to keep them all the same. All right. Symmetry is good. If this one feels pretty maximal, for the last 2 sets, I'm going to drop way down. Because this is already like, if I really truly double this is going to be really good. I actually don't know how this will go. If I like strength-wise, which is good. I'm not like thinking about like, am I going to re-injure myself or something? Like, I'm thinking of like, can I actually do this weight? Which is a good feeling to be back to. All right. What are we going to do? We'll go back to this. All right. We're vibing. 210 for a double would be good. I tried to double 220 the other week and couldn't do it. I don't think I'm certainly going to be able to even attempt that today, but 210 for a double, I will be geeked. Honestly, 210 for a single, I'm going to be happy. So let's get it for 1. make sure it feels good for 2, and then see how we can move forward from there. But we'll get this a little bit tighter. No, that was the correct one. All right. Make sure I had it in the correct spot. I don't know why I don't look. I guess I have to pull my shirt back to look. All right. What I'm about to do, about to get it. Just got to be confident. Oh, so very easy, very low RP, probably had 5 or 6 more in the tank. All that yelling wasn't me. It was some animal outside. I think got caught in the fence or something. Then started to get beat by someone, I don't know. Because I was just cruising, that was just easy. Oh. That'd be good for a deathcore band. If only on the screaming parts, I was squatting heavy weights. I have that visceral yell, but only under maximal loads. So that certainly is the most I can do on a day for double. But I'm geeked about that. That second rep was stanky feeling, which, you know, that makes sense. What we're gonna do is drop down to 180 kilos. We still have the belt on. I just took that off just to get it off me. But we're gonna do 180 kilos because obviously, you know, the app is gonna, like, I can put it at a 1. Let's see if it drops it. So it drops it 4 kilos if I put it as 1. If I put it at a 0, it drops it to 198. And honestly, I would put that as like a true 0 reps in reserve. Like I was not doing anything more with that weight than what I did. But it does want me, you know, it would say drop down to 198. Well, I've already used a lot of energy on that set. So that's where you can make the executive decision yourself to not hurt yourself. So honestly, like if I'm doing 198 or something, like nothing good is going to happen with me trying that weight after working that hard on that set. So 180 will be challenging still, but it will not be the death of me, hopefully. And honestly might not feel that bad. I'm dropping 30 kilos to a set. But because I have to do a double, I keep saying I'm gonna be conservative. I'm gonna be conservative. And I basically max out a double. But you know, the more work you do, the more likely some sort of, you know, tweak or something's gonna pop up. But honestly, the biggest issue I was having on the squats is my IT band kind of making feel like my hips were shifting over to the left a little bit. Which, you know, is a work in progress. So we got 180 on. I think I'm about sufficiently recovered enough. I have this sinking feeling I'm going to do the first rep and then immediately rack it because it'll just feel really heavy. But and that, honestly, not to foreshadow my downfall, but like that's not too bad. Like I've done 4 heavy doubles today. Last week I did 1 double at 165 and was not able to do any more. So we're back to previous strength levels for sure. And being able to continue to push is obviously going to be more gooder, as a true English professor might exclaim or might say. Oh, get this one more. It's always funny when you do wear a belt. When I have layers on, it does make it slightly different, and it can make it like one loop different. So you do get a little bit tighter, which is probably one reason why having multiple layers on feels a little bit better when it's cold. If you can get it to that same loop with 2 more layers of clothes on, not a crazy difference, but I mean, I've certainly noticed a slight difference if I have like a thick sweatshirt on this and then a t-shirt underneath, of getting it. I mean, the t-shirt doesn't make a difference because I always have a t-shirt on when I'm squatting, but for like the sweatshirt, I will notice a little difference of it when it's on, of just getting the belt to the same tightness. So maybe that's the true secret to squatting a lot. Just wear thick sweatshirts and tighten your belt over them really hard. I'm basically an equipped powerlifter. Got knee sleeves on, weightlifting shoes, basically a squat shirt, and a belt. I'm I'm basically just used all equipment for that lift. No strength. Okay. Lord, I don't want to do this. All right. The first rep feels really bad. We'll drop down again to like 160 and just do a double at like 160. But I really would like to do 180 for 2 more doubles. No music though. All right. We're gonna do all 4. Ooh. Well, that's exciting too. So that's a set of 4. And I'll be able to do that in a hot minute. So I'm going to actually track that properly in the app. So I'm going to put 4 for this set. Take out that last set. And then I'll give it a 3. It didn't feel super easy, but nothing hurt. I mean, I'm feeling some technical breakdown, but when am I ever going to not feel that in a session, in a squat session? Whew. Maybe Weightlifting House has won back my favor with their belt, so I had a good squat with it. Definitely felt like I got it pretty tight. Like it felt like it was doing some work. Honestly, I just wish it was like another ½ inch thicker. I suppose that's the problem that probably a lot of people complain about on some fronts. Oh, all right, we'll get 120 on and then just drop the weight on the ground. As far as accessory work today, I don't think I'm going to do any. I mean, obviously, muscle snatches and back squats and clean pulls, it's all accessories in a sense. But I think tomorrow I might be lifting out here once again. Most likely not a mic'd up video, but because tomorrow is snatch, balance, and some sort of light clean and jerk work. It's gonna be a really quick session. So maybe I will do some accessory work today. I think that might actually be good. Quite tired at this point, so my lazy part of me is saying don't, but it might be good. So clean pulls, triples at 180. I keep wanting to add in RDLs, but it's hard to, it's not in the app, and it's just kind of hard to find a day that would fit for them. I mean, I could like swap a clean pull day out for it for an RDL, but I think what I'll probably do is like once a week. So on the like max out day, after snatch and clean and jerk, just do some RDLs on that day, because then I'll have theoretically that day to recover, and then the next day that should theoretically not be that difficult to do, unless I am doing maximal snatch balances like I did and jerks. But if I do the max out day and then some RDLs, I think that could be good. I think just it would be a good like hamstring dominant pull, because I'm not doing like heavy deadlifts right now, really at all. So I've been happy that I haven't been doing that, because it does kind of like obviously take away from my recovery when I'm doing those. But I think doing some RDLs could just be good as like an accessory movement in general, in lieu of doing like back extensions on a certain day, because obviously you can load the movement a lot more, and it's, you know, almost entirely posterior chain with it. So I think it would be good to add in. I thought about doing it on a day like this, but I think some pulls, like just regular clean pulls, it's hard for me to really be like, I don't need them. They're not good to do. It's not good to practice your pull. Especially since my posterior chain is already pretty darn strong anyway. But I think, let me get this back on. I think continuing the trend of trying to get my IT band to feel good, by doing pulls, or at least like having pulls in and realizing that that's helping it, would be kind of good to double down upon that and add some in. Plus, I honestly don't know how strong. I mean, obviously, logically, they have to be, because I still lift all the weights fine. But like, I don't know how specifically strong my hamstrings are relative to like my erectors and back, because it's hard to, like, when you have good leverages for deadlifts, like sometimes it's hard to tell like what part's working, because obviously like my back will get sore from a maximal deadlift, but I never feel my hamstrings on anything ever, unless I'm doing leg curls directly. So I don't know if it's because they're really strong, they're not really having to work, or maybe they're weak. I really doubt that they're weak. I feel like it is more so like they just don't have to work that hard. And I've never really like done maximal rep sets with RDLs and stuff. But I could be wrong on that front. So we're going to do this 120, 160, and then do our triples at 180. Trying to think of what accessory work would be good to do today. Yesterday I did some triceps and biceps. The day before I did some shoulders. And I forget what I did. The day before that I did some pull-ups. I can't really, I mean, I could go in the house and get the thing. It'd take a very long time to set up pull-ups. I don't really want to do that much work to do them. So, don't really know. I'll think about it. Well, I'm not really focused on pulls, I suppose. But thankfully, this is the part of the workout where I cannot be focused. At least as much as squats. Be a little careful on my calf. Feel my right calf a little bit. I think because on one of the later sets of squats, I was drifted forward a little bit, so I probably put a little extra work on my calf, which is interesting. So I actually strained my calf on a squat a while ago, doesn't it? It was like a cramping feeling. And I did another rep with it feeling like that and made it sore for a while. And calves are one of those things that are really hard to recover because you kind of just are always, I don't say necessarily in a compromised position with them, but you're always like in a bottom of squat in like a maximal position there, or at the top, like there's not really like a good position for them being. They're always working in a way. It's kind of like trying to think of a similar thing. I guess it's like anything kind of down there, like your ankle or something. Like you're always just kind of like using it by default. And your calf kind of hurts, particularly like it hurts in the bottom of squats and stuff. When I had that, I don't even know if it was a cramp or a strain. It felt like a cramp, but it was sore for a while, so I'm sure it was a bit of a strain. It's quite annoying. It's quite annoying. But look at this 160. I'll try not to procrastinate too much on pulls. Maybe some rear delts would be good. So I did like lateral raises and stuff the other day. Ooh. Not too bad. All right, we'll get this loaded on there. I don't think my roommate's going to come out here and train today. I don't know if he's going to the actual gym today or not, but it's also kind of nice to not be out here for 4 hours doing whatever, meandering. Kind of helps too. There's no, I mean, today's Wednesday, so there's no football anyway, but some days when it was like Thursday night football, I'd really be slow out here. Or Monday nights, if I was out here. But now football's just about over, so I'll have no excuses. You know, as wonky as these Kolkov clips are, they do their job. I just don't get the mechanism of having this thing here and it not do anything. Unless maybe I got a defective one, or B, I don't know how to loosen it. So maybe it does, but I don't really think it's that important because it tightens just fine. And honestly, like, these aren't the end all be able to hold weights on. It's mostly to add additional weight. So this does say I could add 1 or 2 sets. It says this is supposed to be a heavy session. Target intensity range is 80 to 90% of your max. If you're feeling strong, feel free to add 1 to 2 heavier sets. Now, because I'm a pulling maniac, I don't really need to add additional sets. I'm doing just fine on pulls. But I could if I was truly a maniac. But I think kind of sticking to the volume that's prescribed with pulls is almost always a good thing for me. I think honestly for most of the exercises, like, I never really felt like for most things I'm like, I wish I had, more sets. I wish I had more work to do than less. Always feels like, think of like the squats. Like, I got 4 heavy doubles in and was able to do an additional set after that. I guess like combine the 2 doubles, but like I wasn't like, man, really left some weight on I really left some time on the table. Like, I felt like I worked pretty hard on those. I felt like, that set of 4, like, wasn't maximal, but like I felt like it was still good work. But let's get this triple done. So 3 triples. Actually, here's going to be my accessory work. I think I'm going to do these 3 sets of pulls, and then I'm going to do, it said I could add 1 to 2 additional sets. I'm going to add them, but they're going to be RDLs, and that's going to be my accessory. Because the rear delts wouldn't necessarily be bad to do, but because tomorrow is snatch balances and light clean and jerk work, I have that extra day to recover before the max out day at the end of the week. So if I'm going to add them in an additional day, today would be a perfect day for them. And then I wouldn't have to worry about doing them on the heavy session on will be Friday. Big Friday. Big Friday, little weights. All right. So 3 regular sets, 2 RDL sets. Maybe that's how I'll add them in for the heavy days. Or at least when the app says to, it's a heavy session for pulls. Be a good idea, I think. Pretty easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And now that I said I could add 2, I'm going to add 1 RDL set in, since I haven't done them in a very long time. Gradually build into the volume of them. 180 won't be difficult with them at all, but the DOMs might be bad. So I haven't done an RDL in quite a while. You can probably find the last time I did an RDL if you search them on the channel. I think actually I don't know if I had a specific video talking about them, so it might be harder to find, but not too bad, not too bad. All right, so we'll do this set here, and then our third one, and then add in the bonus set. And we'll call that accessory work. Just a little light bodybuilding work for my hamstrings. I slide a little bit on the left, but not enough where it's going to come off. Honestly, I feel like I've been working out at a good pace too, which has been, I don't know, it feels nice to work out fast sometimes, or at least like not catching your breath fully. Kind of gives you the perception that you're working harder than you might actually be, but I guess in a literal sense you probably are. And maybe I'm just out of breath because I've been talking. I know that certainly makes me breathe harder during training than I normally would, is talking the whole time. At least most of the time. But one more set. Nothing too difficult. No, it's interesting too. I don't really want to go up from 180. I feel like this is a good way to practice my pulling specifically for the clean lift. Hence the clean pull. But usually when I do these, I get bored and want to just go up. Maybe I actually did enough on squats to tire me out for these. Feel a little bit in my right lower back, which is interesting. So when I hurt my hip this summer, or I guess last summer or last year, I felt it in my IT band, which kind of makes sense. It's actually not the first time I've had IT band issues, but I felt it there during it. But as it recovered, I felt some of my lower back, so it could have been, some sort of labrum issue or something. I don't know what really goes across. I think that might be your labrum, but if I feel any part of my low back, it's always my right side a little bit, but I've never been a crazy issue. Thankfully, my spine is strong. All right, let me get my RDL set. Get some Gatorade in me, and we're gonna get out of here. And we're gonna be done. So same as the other sets, same weight. Only difference with the technique is my hips are, I'm essentially just going to do a bad clean pull with very high hips I guess, and also a bad deadlift with extremely high hips. Trying to keep my legs as straight as possible. And really you get that by just kind of pushing your butt and your knees back, everything back. As Chris Berman might say, back. All right. Trying to pull your back tight while everything's straight. So this might feel quite heavy. We'll see. Try to keep my legs mostly straight. All right. And I always go back and forth if I do that, whether I go all the way down or do like a partial. I feel like the partial ones are probably just better because you just have more constant tension and you have to really like stop the weight on the way down. So I usually opt to going most of the way down, but before I touch the ground. On that last one, I think I dinged it a little bit, but it's not too big of a deal. But quite happy with that. Let me get that hit into the app so I don't forget. Whew. Day is completed, but if you made it this far, I appreciate it. Get some good squats today. Usually a lot of these make-up videos, I don't lift too heavy, so it's nice to get some heavy squats and kind of get my thoughts as I'm going through them, as I'm going through it, trying to convince myself I'm not going to break by doing them. So quite happy with that. I'm quite pleased with the 210. Really with everything I did today. It's very rare that I basically have a perfect session in every exercise that I do. So I'm quite happy about that. Definitely want to build upon this and go in and eat, make sure I sleep enough, but that's just fantastic. I mean, 210 for a double is always good. And so I think we're definitely back. We're definitely just cruising now and just trying to get stronger, which I kind of already had the inkling for, but it's nice to kind of have it confirmed that, you know, the overall capacity is there. Nothing felt off, nothing hurt, and nothing got worse, which is good. Now you just got to get the IT band to feel a little bit better, and then we'll really be cruising. But as far as being strong, I feel like I'm back at it. So hopefully some of these front squat workouts I'll be able to complete in its full capacity with some of the repetitions. That isn't quite there yet, but I think I could do like how it gave me 155 for triples. Like I feel like I could do like 140 for triples. So I don't think I'm that far off, but just having that confidence to do them, I think it's going to take me the longest. But hopefully next week I can try to do some more doubles and triples maybe, and just continue to build with that. But I mean, worst comes to worst, I got the back squats to lean upon, so I at least got those back, and certainly feel like I can hammer them really hard. So I at least got some form of squatting, but keep trying to get stronger. But that's gonna be it for this one. If you made it this far, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Peace.